Sophia was 20 years old, brimming with energy, ambition, and an untamable fire that seemed to radiate from her every movement. She was at that strange in-between stage of life, no longer a teenager but still too young for the world to take her seriously. People saw her as inexperienced, still finding her way. What they didn't see was her hunger, a hunger for love, for passion, for something real that would shake her to her core. Adrian was 40, and when people spoke of him, they always mentioned his composure first. He was the man who seemed untouchable, with sharp eyes that missed nothing and a voice that carried a calm authority. He had built a life others envied, a thriving career, respect in his community, and a reputation for being unshakable. Yet beneath that polished exterior lived a man who hadn't felt truly alive in years. Until her. They met by accident, as all great stories often begin. It was at a late summer art exhibit, tucked away in a corner gallery in the city. Sophia had come with a friend, but her restless energy pulled her away from the group. She wandered between paintings, her gaze lingering on the bold, chaotic strokes of color splashed across canvas. To her, the mess of it was beautiful. And then she noticed him. Adrian stood in front of a painting, his tall figure outlined by the soft glow of the gallery lights. His expression was serious, intent, but when his eyes shifted and locked on hers, she felt something rush through her body like a spark catching dry kindling. She tried to look away, but she couldn't. His gaze was steady, confident, the kind that didn't ask for permission. He walked toward her, slow and deliberate, as though giving her a chance to run if she wanted to. But she didn't. She stayed rooted to the spot, heart pounding, breath quickening. When he finally stopped beside her, he looked at the painting on the wall and asked, "What do you see?" Sophia blinked, caught off guard. "Chaos," she answered. Then, after a pause, she added softly, "But maybe that's the point. Life is chaos. Art just makes it beautiful." His lips curved in the faintest smile. "You're not wrong," he said. "Most people try to force meaning into what they see. You just accept it." That one simple exchange opened the door to more. They moved through the gallery together, trading thoughts about the art, then about music, travel, and life itself. Conversation flowed so easily it surprised them both. She laughed often, and when she did, Adrian found himself staring, not just at her smile, but at the light in her eyes, the youth in her face, the wild freedom he hadn't felt in decades. By the time the gallery closed, neither of them wanted the night to end. They walked through the city streets, the hum of traffic blending with their laughter. When she admitted she was 20, his smile faltered for the first time. 20, he repeated. His tone was calm, but his eyes revealed something else, hesitation, warning, maybe even guilt. "And you're 40, she said boldly, lifting her chin. "Does that scare you?" He let out a quiet chuckle, the sound warm and deep. "No. But it should scare you." She shook her head. "I'm not scared." He dropped her off at her apartment that night with nothing more than a brief touch of his hand on hers. But the electricity of that touch lingered, haunting them both. Days later, Adrian called her. He wasn't sure why. Every logical part of him told him to forget her, to bury the memory. But he couldn't. He asked if she wanted to meet for coffee. She said yes without hesitation. That coffee turned into hours of conversation, and when it was time to part, neither wanted to leave. So came dinners, long drives, hidden moments in quiet corners of the city. Every time they met, the tension grew heavier, impossible to ignore. He tried to keep his distance, reminding himself of the age between them, of the whispers that would follow if anyone knew. But every time he looked at her, saw the way her eyes sparkled when she laughed, the way her hand lingered near his as if daring him to touch her, his restraint burned away. The night it finally broke was stormy, the air heavy with rain. They sat in his car, parked on a quiet street, the silence between them filled with unsaid words. When she turned her face toward him, her lips parted slightly, he couldn't hold back any longer. He kissed her, and the world fell away. It wasn't the hesitant, clumsy kiss of young love. It was fire, demanding, consuming, desperate. She responded with equal hunger, her hands curling into his shirt, pulling him closer. The kiss deepened, and for the first time in years, Adrian felt alive. When they pulled back, their foreheads pressed together, breathing ragged, neither of them spoke. Words were useless in the face of what burned between them. After that night, there was no going back. Their affair was a storm, wild and untamed. He touched her with a reverence she had never known, as though she was fragile but also his undoing. She gave herself to him with reckless abandon, daring him to let go of the caution that defined him. Their nights blurred into mornings, their passion raw and endless. In his arms, she felt seen, cherished, and desired in a way no boy her age had ever made her feel. With her, he rediscovered the reckless joy of youth, the thrill of breaking rules, the reminder that love wasn't safe, it was dangerous, and that was what made it real. But outside their private world, judgment waited. Her friends whispered warnings, calling him too old, too experienced, too dangerous. His colleagues cast disapproving looks when they saw them together, their unspoken criticisms heavy in the air. Even strangers seemed to notice, their eyes lingering too long when they walked side by side. One night, lying together in the quiet aftermath of their passion, Sophia traced her fingers along his chest and whispered, "Do you regret this?" Adrian tilted her chin, forcing her to meet his eyes. His voice was steady but raw. "Every day, I tell myself I should. But when I'm with you, regret doesn't exist. Only you." Her heart ached at his honesty, and she kissed him with a tenderness that matched his intensity. They both knew their love wasn't easy, wasn't understood, but neither could imagine life without it. Their story unfolded in secret escapes. A weekend trip to a small coastal town where no one knew them. Afternoons stolen in quiet cafes, where their hands brushed under the table. Nights in his apartment, where the city lights painted their skin as they tangled together, lost in each other's fire. The age between them didn't matter when he made her laugh until her stomach hurt. It didn't matter when she whispered dreams into the dark, and he listened as though they were sacred. It didn't matter when he kissed her with the kind of hunger that told her she wasn't just young and beautiful. She was his equal, his match, his undoing. Theirs was not a love that fit into neat boxes. It was complicated, forbidden, dangerous. But it was also breathtaking, transformative, and real. Sophia had found in Adrian the kind of love that scorched, the kind of passion that marked her forever. And Adrian, who had lived 40 years thinking he had seen it all, discovered that love could still surprise him, still consume him, still make him reckless. One evening, as the sun sank low over the horizon, they stood together on his balcony, the city spread out before them. She leaned into him, her head resting against his chest, his arm wrapped tightly around her. "Do you think this can last?"
Watching my channel, like and share. Thank you so much.